Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a massive, frankly fascinating shift in sustainable agriculture. We're looking at a completely biological roadmap that totally changes how plants interact with the soil around them. We're talking about using natural vegetable extracts to unlock the hidden, chemically locked away potential of your crops. Let's get right into it.
So here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll tackle the nutrient uptake problem. Then we look at stage 0, which is foundation preparation. Next up, early growth milestones, followed by peak performance during the fruiting phase. After that, we'll cover the golden triangle of defense, and we'll wrap up with the sustainable virtuous cycle.
All right, part 1, the nutrient uptake problem, or basically, the giant flaw in traditional farming. Listen to this staggering statistic, 3 to 15%. That is the actual meager nutrient uptake rate of your standard run-of-the-mill fertilizers. Think about that for a second. You're out there applying all this fertilizer, and your plants are only able to use a tiny fraction of it. The rest, it's literally just chemically locked away in the soil, completely wasted. The plant simply can't absorb it. And honestly, this inefficiency is costing farmers massively in wasted inputs, completely limiting potential crop yields.
But here's where the breakthrough happens. Enter the GPL37 chain reaction agent. You can really think of GPL37 as a biological decoder. It's made from natural vegetable extracts, and it acts almost like a commander-in-chief down in the soil. So instead of just dumping more and more nutrients into the dirt, GPL37 actually unlocks the chemically bound nutrients that are already sitting right there, things like NPK and urea. It triggers this amazing chain reaction of infiltration, conversion, and multiplication, which finally lets the plant read and absorb all that locked-away food.
And by unlocking those nutrients, GPL37 creates what we call a multiplier efficacy. It boosts that dismal nutrient uptake rate from 3% all the way up to between 39% and 52%. Because the plant is finally getting the fuel it's been starving for, we've actually seen production boosts anywhere from 20% to a massive 200%. It's a real game changer.
Moving on to part 2, stage 0, foundation preparation, and how we detoxify the environment.
Success really happens before the seed is even planted. You've got to prep that foundation. Now, for the seeds themselves, we use a process of seed soaking using GPL37, which triggers robust vitality and early germination right out of the gate. But for the ground, we have soil tilling using a product called Link Soil. If you're dealing with toxic, saline, or acidic soil, Link Soil is your improver. It binds the salt into bigger molecules and physically pushes it deeper, safely away from the root zone. But listen, here is the absolutely crucial rule. After you treat the soil, you have to wait exactly 24 hours before sowing your seeds. You've got to give the soil time to detoxify and stabilize so your seeds are entering a cleansed, totally optimized environment.
All right, part 3, early growth milestones and building out the plant's delivery system. Let's trace the timeline of these critical milestones. So, after you do your seed soaking on day 0, you enter the nursery stage. Here, you're going to pair GPL37 with Link Root. Just like the name implies, Link Root builds a deep, wide anchor, promoting really intense root germination. Then, as we move down the timeline, we hit a very specific, critical marker, the 6th leaf node. At this exact point, the plant is transitioning into complex maturity. So we switch things up and pair GPL37 with Link Flora. This specific combo manages cell division and bud differentiation, basically setting up the plant's entire architecture for the reproductive phase.
Which brings us right into part 4, peak performance, the fruiting phase and maximizing your yield.
Now this is the most energy-intensive stage, so to maximize yield, your interventions need to be highly precise. Step 1 kicks in a full month before blossom. Applying GPL37 and Link Flora here stimulates really robust bud differentiation. Step 2 happens 7 days before and then again 7 days after blossom. Using GPL37 during this window actually straightens the flower handle. This is super important because it ensures a stable, direct nutrient flow right to the bud. And finally, step 3 hits during mid-fruit development. This application is all about fruit hypertrophy, which is just a fancy way of saying a massive increase in size, along with optimized coloring and sugar accumulation. Getting this precise timing right increases your fruiting rate and stops premature fruit drop in its tracks.
But here's the catch. During this peak phase, the plant is directing almost all of its metabolic energy into growing that fruit. Which really begs the question, while it's doing all that heavy lifting, who is protecting the plant from pests when it's literally at its most vulnerable?
That takes us to part 5, the golden triangle of defense, focusing on non-toxic plant protection.
So this defense strategy is a brilliant 3-in-1 solution. First up, you have Link No Pests Plus, which is an unregulated broad-spectrum natural pesticide. Second is Link Algae. This is a diatomaceous earth that grips the protectant and actually physically cuts into the pests. And third, Link Chitosan, which acts as a sort of plant vaccine and growth promoter. When you put them together, they don't just replace toxic chemical pesticides, they actually boost the plant's own internal immunity.
And this is exactly where the biological synergy gets really fascinating. See, Link No Pest Plus is this oily protectant with high osmotic pressure, meaning it easily penetrates and suffocates pests. But when you combine it with the highly porous structure of the Link algae, something amazing happens. They react together inside the plant to naturally produce tannic acid. Tannic acid is this essential trace element that drastically strengthens the hardness of the plant's epidermal cells. It essentially creates armor, making it incredibly difficult for pests to suck or bite the plant in the first place.
Now, execution matters here. If you're dealing with an active pest outbreak, you want to use a 250 times dilution, spraying every 3 to 7 days. For just normal preventative protection, you'd use a 500 times dilution every 7 to 15 days. But please take note of a critical warning here. Because Link No Pests Plus is an oil-based protectant, you must never spray it when temperatures rise above 35 degrees Celsius. If you do, you risk serious high sun injury to your plants, and nobody wants that.
Finally, we arrive at Part 6, the sustainable virtuous cycle, and our core rules for the field. You can really consider this your ultimate pocket guide checklist for maintaining biological momentum. First is the stomata rule. Always spray in the cool evening or at dawn. Plants absorb these materials through their leaf pores, which naturally close up during the heat of the day. Second is the synergy rule. Always pair your fertilizers with your decoder, GPL 37, so those nutrients aren't wasted. Third, the golden triangle rule. Use your non-toxic protectants consistently to maintain that tannic acid armor we talked about. And lastly, the frequency rule. Biological momentum always favors frequent, lower dosage applications over single, heavy doses.
When you master this organic chain reaction, you create an incredibly powerful domino effect. You unlock nutrients with GPL 37, so the plant grows stronger. You protect it naturally, so its own immunity skyrockets. And eventually, you end up creating this self-sustaining loop. The soil gets richer, and the plants become so internally well-defended that they actually require fewer and fewer external inputs from you. In fact, following this roadmap, you can reduce your compound fertilizer needs by over 50%.
So we've covered a massive paradigm shift today. We're moving completely away from just forcing harsh chemicals into the ground, and instead, we're decoding the biology that's already there to let nature do the heavy lifting.
Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. I really hope you're walking away feeling fully equipped with this new growth stage roadmap to help you achieve a truly chemical-free harvest. Because ultimately, if nature provides the absolute best technology out there, isn't it time we just let it do the farming?